So based on the demonstration of the application, try and sketch your idea. After you have sketched it, you will then go ahead to implement it. So now the first thing you should do is that we will build an authentication. We are going to be building an authentication system. So this authentication is the point where we have the login, we have the sign up, and so on and so forth. So after we have created the authentication system, then this is our application flow. We are going to be listing all the products. Don't forget that we are acting as middleman for several complaints. So we need to now, after we have worked on the authentication, after they have confirmed that, they will then see the list of our products, the list of our products. So after they have seen the list of the products, then they will be able to see they will be able to see the product details. After they have seen the product details, they will be able to place an order. After they have placed an order, they will be able to track their order. So that is a very simple process. That is a very simple process of the application that we are going to be building. So when they have been authenticated, they have logged in, they have signed up. After that, they are going to be seeing the list of our products. After they have seen the list of the product, they will be able to navigate to the product details page. So from the product details page, they will be able to place their order. They'll be able to place their order, and after placing their order, they will be able to track the order. So the only thing we are just doing is that we are bringing everything together and putting it in one place. So that is what we are going to be building. This is the everything I've shown you now. This is just the idea. You know, sometimes when you come up with an idea, you begin to, like, you should not say, I'll do it later. Just quickly sketch something out. So this is the idea we are building. So anytime you come up with an idea, as you are going home, just be thinking, what can I build? How can I do this assignment? So once you have, it might be when you are sleeping, it might be when you are doing anything, just come up with your sheet of paper, come up with your pen, just sketch it out. After sketching, the idea will come together as one. So we come to the first step of our process now, and that is the authentication stage. So from the authentication stage, let us now come to our Thunkable. From the Thunkable, we are going to be creating an application. Us to do is, so that we learn how this stuff work, just come to this create new project, click on the create new project, give your project a name, the name that you can remember. You can call it first trial, you can call it UJ logistics, you can call it anything you feel like calling it, but I will call my own order it, and we deliver it. So give it a name that you can name it yourself, anyhow, it's all good. So you can choose any category. Of course, if you look at it, with the we are working with the we say logistics. Of course, let's just go with, let me just say I'm just testing. If you see a suitable category, you can pick it. It does not mean anything. So of course you can set it to private, to set it to public, So after setting it to public, make sure that this drag and drop builder is marked or is ticked. After that, once you have confirmed this process, then go ahead and create your application. I'm trying to take it slow so that we can follow. I believe you are on this page now. Now, if you look at a mobile application, you will see, if you try and check your phone now, try to open any application, you will see different components. Most of the time, you will see a text. If you need a text for this application that we are, for this mobile application that we are building, you will use the label. You know that we ourselves, we are trying to build a mobile application. So if you look at a mobile application, most of the time you will see something that you can click. We call it a button. So if you need a button for your application, you can see it here, and that is the button. So all these are called components. They are called components. They are called components. Of course, we have other components. Now, if you look at it, sometimes when you open an application, it will tell you log in, or you should sign up, meaning that you need to enter some values, maybe your name, maybe your email address, and so on and so forth. At that point, at the point when in your application you need to enter some value or get some value from the user, then the component you are going to be using for that is the text input. Of course, based on our need, we have several components that we are going to be using on our application. This, of course, for speed's sake, I will not be paying attention to. Of course, you see that the one I show you, I tried to add some colors, try to do some other things. I'll not be paying attention to the design, to the colors, but I'm going to be looking at the concepts. So now we are going to be, now if you look at it, for a particular page, now when you open your mobile application, you realize the fact that you can navigate from one page to the other. Now in Thunkable, a page is called a screen. You can see that we have this screen. Now if you come to this side and click on this screen, you can edit the name of that screen here. If you name a particular screen, if you look at my own, let me just stop the preview. Okay, now of course, this is what we are building. You see that I have screen landing page, I have screen login page, I have screen register page, and so on and so forth, in order for me to be able to relate with what I'm trying to do with that particular page. So what I'm going to do in here is the same thing I'm going to be doing. So I will name this. Of course, at the point of, let's come back to our scoreboard. If you come to your scoreboard, you see that the first thing we are currently dealing with is our authentication. We are working with our authentication. This is our scoreboard. So we are working with, once you're able to finish these 5 steps, then we are done. Then you can build anything, or you can conceptualize anything. So I come back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this screen. Of course, to rename the screen, you can come here. Let's rename this to be, let's say, like, I always prefer, the name of the component. Me, when I'm naming my own component, I prefer the name of that component. You can see that we have several components. We have the button component, we have the label component, we have the image component, we have the text input component, we have the simple list component, and so on and so forth. So you can name your components anything, but at the point where I name my own components, I prefer to have it in this format. I prefer to have it in this format. I prefer to have it in this format of component name and the name of the page, or the name of that particular what I'm doing with the components. I can say, or let me say function. Sorry. So I'll just go with function of components. So I prefer this naming convention. So of course, for this first one, you can see that the component I'm working with is the screen. So I will then say screen. What do I want to do with that particular screen? I want to try and create the login form. So I'll then say screen. So you get the name of the component and what you are doing with the component. So let's go back to our application. So this screen is what I want to rename now. To rename it, you can do it here. Look at this side. Once you double click, you can see that the screen, so I'll just say screen login page. So I press enter. Now when you look at your login page, of course, let me just go ahead and add another screen. To add another screen, you see a plus icon beside your screen name. Just press that plus icon. Now for this second screen, I want us to name it screen register. Of course, the name of the component and what you are doing with the component. Now, so we have created two screens now. The first one being the login screen or login page, and the second one being the register screen or the register page. Now let's come back to our drawing board. Now, what should a login page look like? Of course, it's something not very hard. You use web application regularly, and once you log in, once you look at, like, if you visit 10 websites per day, most of the time the concept of their login does not really change. The concept of the login is most of the time the same. So let me make this bigger. So let me say this is my login page. Don't mind my drawing. And I'll take two feeds. Now the first feed will be my email, and the second feed will be my password. So once the user have entered the email and password, I want them to be able to click on a button that says, so this is a button that says login. This is a button. This is an input feed, and this is another input feed, and this is my page. This is my page. So this is my login page. So I will go ahead to do the same thing for my register. So for the registration page now, I'll do the same thing. Now for the registration page, I don't want to stress, sometimes when you are building an application, when you visit a website and you realize the fact that that website that you visited, they're asking you to fill in a form that is like as if you are writing a semester test. Most of the time, you just leave that and say, I don't have time. But when they say this form will only take you less than 2 minutes, then it will be very easy for you to be able to just quickly fill it. So that means when you are creating your form, your sign up form, your login form, make it as simple as possible. Make it as simple as, if it is too complex, then you don't want anybody to visit your website. So we are going to be making our registration page to be as simple as possible by just asking the user to enter their email address, their username, their password, and to also enter the password again, and we create the button. So this first one, of course, when at the point of creating the page, you should make sure that they enter their password 2 times, so that when the person, maybe the person was sleeping when they are trying to sign up to your page, there's no how you'll be wrong twice. If you enter the wrong thing first time, the second time you enter the right thing, so it will tell you this password does not match. I've seen that now. So we are building all that into our application. So this will be our email feed. This will be our username. Let's not ask too much details from the user. If you need it, you are going to be getting it later. So but for now, let's just ask for what is not too much. So we are going to be getting our password, and after which we tell the user to confirm the password, and then we tell them to sign up. And just like I labeled the other time, this is all these that we have on the page, they are all called components. They are all called components. So this particular one is the screen component. So this screen is used for registration. You use this screen for registration, and this particular feed is called a text input. A text input. And what do you use to get your email from the user? And this is another text input. They are all components. This is another text input, and you use it to get your username. Of course, there's no need to be repeating all that. And this is another text input. They are all core components, and this is another text input. But this is a button. All these are called all these they are all called components. So components are just the stuffs that come together to make a working application. So now that we have that, of course, you see that we are not building anything from not see anybody that you see that they build any idea, it started from something small. Like look at where we started from. This is how to conceptualize an idea. Like you just sketch it. From there, okay, what did I want from the authentication? I sketch my authentication page. Okay, this is what I want from the authentication. I sketch it again. There's not everything big that you see today. They started from step one. They started from point one. So this is the first one that we started from. Later, we now started breaking it down, and before you know it, application will become very big. So what we are building now is this particular page, which is our login page. I'm very sorry for this, my bad handwriting. So we go to our page. Now you see that we have just three components. We have four components: the screen, the email, the password, the and the button. So that's what. So we have the in here on your login page. Now we have, let's come back to our drawing board. You see that we already have our screen. Now we need three more things on this page. We need the email input feed, we need the password input feed, and we need the login input feed. So very simple to follow. To get your input feed, I said is a component. So this particular text feed is what you will use to get details from the user. So just drag. Very simple. I'm going back again now. Just click on this text input. Anytime you want to get input from the user, you use text input. You want them to enter their name, you want them to enter their email, you use text input. So just click on it, hold it, and drag it to your page. Click on it, hold down your left click and drag it to your page. Click and drag your input feed. You know that you have two input feed and one button. So do the same thing, click it, hold it and drag it to this page. You are not writing any code, very easy. So we have two now. And the third one is our button. The same thing is what we are going to be doing, but this time around, we are not dragging the text inputs. We are dragging the button. So click and hold your button, click it, hold it, and drag it to this page. Once you are there, release it. And after you have released it, you can then position it, save changes. So I'll just repeat it before my internet went off. So I'll put the first. I'm repeating the same process I did the other time so that the user can have an idea of what this page is all about. I will just this label. Anytime you want to display a text for the user to see, you drag this label and put it on top. So just to give the user an idea of what the page is. Ish. Why now? It's just to give the user an idea of what the page is all about. So this label is just used to take input feed. So what I'm trying to add to this is just that, of course, I can use green. So this is my login page. So that's the only new thing I'm adding. So I'm adding a text. This I can call this my login page to be. I can call it page title. So that's the only thing I'm adding. So I'll do the same thing for my registration page. Of course, I can still use this color. Registration page. And this is also my page title. So that's the only thing I'll be adding. So I want us to be conceptualizing it, sketching it out, and be building it. Any problem? Are we not? If you are having any challenge, just raise up your hand. If you have more hands, then I can stop and we can go around and help everybody. But I think it's still simple. It's still as simple as possible. So please let us try and make the class to be conducive for ourselves. So now that we have that, of course, we should be able to finish this first stage tonight, so that I'll try and rush a bit now. So I'll call this label. Don't forget the component name and what you are doing with it. So the label page title, or let me say login page title. I've renamed the tag of that label. So what I now need to do is I need to change the value. To change the value, you change the value here. You change the value here. You can change this to login page. You can see that in here I have my login page now. I have my login page. Now, at least I want to bring it to the center. Instead of me to now start doing something like this to try to look for where's the center, all I just need to do is I can just align it to the center without needing to write code. To align it, see this particular place under essentials. You will see text align. I want you to click it and you see various alignment that you can use. So go with the center alignment. You can see that we have our text at the center now, and I will just go ahead and still bold it. So all these are all part of the essentials. We can change the font size. Maybe I want it to be bigger. I can change it to 20. You can change the font family. You can see various font family that you have under this drop down. Let me say I want to change it to this. I like this logo. You can change it to any font that you like. You don't have to build it exactly like my own, but at least let our working principle be the same. So this first input field or this first text field, we want to use to get our email. The first thing is you should rename it. To rename it, you go with the component name, which is text field. I believe we are used to renaming now. Text field or text input. What are you trying to do with the text input? Email address or anything. You can just say email address. So now, I anytime you are working on anything, before you look at it, and if I click away, if I click on another component on my page, you can see that the properties here, they are different. The properties that I have here is different. So anytime you want to work on a particular component, make sure that that component is active by you clicking on it. If you don't click on it, it will not be active and you will not be able to update it or work on it. So I want to work on this particular email feed or email form feed. I'll click on it first. I'll change the name to email address, the name of the component. I'll press enter. I've changed the name already. So now, don't forget that there's something we call placeholder. That means the value that comes with your input feed before you start typing something. When you start typing something, then that value goes away. So this placeholder, let's just tell the user to enter your email. Or let's just make it simple. Email. So the user can know what is expected of him or her. So we are done with this particular one. So let's go ahead with the second one. The same thing, we rename it first and we change the placeholder. You see the importance of renaming later. So the name of the component and what you are doing with it. See, there's no strict rule on how to name your components. But any pattern you are using, make sure that you are consistent with it. Let's go ahead and rename this now to password. Password. After you have renamed it, press enter on your keyboard and the int will be password. Now let us learn something very fast. You can start previewing your application. How do you preview your application? The preview of your application means you want to see how it works. So in order for you to preview your application, look at this component at the top. If you highlight on it or if you hover over it, you will see web preview. So click on it to preview or see your application in action. You will look at this particular button that looks like play, and it will tell you web preview. So if you click on it, you see how your application will work in real time. So you can see in here. Now look at something. This is what I want to show you. Let's pay attention now. You will realize the fact that, let's say you have your email as do@gmail.com. Now at the point of pressing your password, let me say my password is password. Normally this is not how my password should display, right? It should, from how we use our application, we realize the fact that the password is not always visible. So in order for us to do that, let us close the preview. So when you close the preview, click on this particular form feed, the password, and come and set this secure text entry to be on. That will hide your password. So click on your password and set the secure text entry to be on. So after you have set it to be on, let us now go ahead to preview now. Now if you start pressing anything now, you see that it is now hidden. So of course, for our button, let us do the same thing, rename it and change the text. So we rename the name of the component, button, and what we are doing with it. sign in. And we also give a descriptive text to be sign in. Now that we have, so that means we are done with the sign in page. So let us now come to our register page. Now look at something here. If you want to drag your page, you should change the control to this. So once you change the control to this, you'll be able to move the components of your application. So you can then change back to select. So I believe you can do this now. Just if you look at our drawing board, we have the registration page title. You can try it now. The email, the username, the password, the confirm password, and the sign up. So let's just do that very fast before we. So we go with the title first, the title of the page. Click on the component and drag and drop it. So the next one is your text input. This is your this is for email. This is for username. This is for password, and this is for confirm password. So we then go for the last one, which is button. So I believe we are. This is just like a repetition of what we have done before. So let's just do it together. Be doing yours while I'm also doing mine. Now I change this again. Rename first. Label, sign up, page title. The next one, of course, let me change the value to be sign up. I bold it. I align it to the center. We have seen this in action before. So the same thing for the first field, which is my email field. I change it first. Email. I change the int, which is also a placeholder. Email. Then I go with the second one. Once you are working on any text input, you click on it first. When you have clicked on it, that's when you can start updating it. So we rename it. This we are going to be using to take our username. The int, let's just take the username. And now the first one is your password, which is text input of password, and the int again will be password. Of course, you know that this password should be hidden. That means when the user is pressing something, it should not show. So to do that, you should secure your text entry. The same thing for your confirm password. Don't forget at the point of registering, you should so that the user will enter something. They will enter a password that they know that that is what I actually wanted to enter. You should get their password 2 times. So their text inputs, let's call this text input confirm password, and the int is confirm, or let me just say password again. Anyhow, so I will then put the secure text entry to be on. Then I will come and also do the same thing for my button. I will change the name. Click on it while you are editing it. Change the name to button sign up. The value, change it to sign up. I think we are good now. So now this is now the major. Now we have designed our interface. Now we want to add functionality to our interface. Of course, if you preview this now, if you preview it, if the user press on sign up, nothing will happen because you have not add the functionality that will make the user to be able to sign up. So to do that, I believe we all have our email address, Gmail address. To do that, we are going to be using Firebase authentication. Firebase authentication. Of course, Firebase is just a real-time database that Google is giving us for free just to see how things work in terms of development, in terms of profiling solution. So I think we change our button sign up, and we change the text to be sign up. So now I want us to do something here. At the point when the user click on sign up, we want to save the record or details inside a database. So to do that, I want you to go to a new tab and go to a website called firebase.google.com. Now from there, we are finishing up now. Let's go to our console. Let us click on add projects. Click on add projects. Give your project a name, order it, and we oh let me just say order and deliver. Okay, it does not accept underscore. Yeah. So give your project a name and go ahead and create and click on create. Are we on the same page? So for now, I don't want Google Analytics. Let me just disable it. I go ahead and say create project. I'm trying to go at a slow pace. So it should be here now. So just if it bring you to continue, just click on continue. Now that you are here, there's something I want us to do. Come to all products. Okay, we should link it first. Or let's add authentication. Come to all products. All products, you should see authentication, app check, cloud Firebase. Click on authentication. Over here at the authentication page, click on get started. Project is ready. I will then click on continue. Now let us come back to our drawing board. Now we have, let us pay attention now. We are closing very soon. Now we have two things. We have our now this first one. Let's pay attention now. This is very important. Let's pay attention. So this first one is our Thunkable application. This is what we can call our user interface. Let us pay attention, please. Now, the user interface is what the user relates with when they are using your application. Now, this second one is your Firebase database. And this second one is what we can call our database. The first one is our user interface. The second one is our database. Now, there's a need for us to link these two together. There's a need for us to link these two together. Now, to link these two together, we need our API and URL. API is just like, of course, API means application programming interface, but you want to interface your application with Firebase, and I want to interface my application with Firebase. You want to do the same thing. The person over there want to do the same thing. But how do Google know that when I'm making a request? How do you know that I'm the one? How do you know that you are the one? Then they give you a special code, and you also have your database URL. So now, these two things are what you are going to be needing to link your application. This first one, they will give you, this is like your authentication code. And this second one is the location. Location URL means uniform resource locator. So this is like your location for your database. Oh, I want us to finish this very fast. So just pay attention to the location here and pay attention to your authentication code. So these two things are what you need to link your application to your database, the storage. So let us come in here. Of course, we have created our project. What I now need us to do is come to all products again. From all products, go to authentication. I want to be a bit fast now. I need to close very soon. But I want us to drop something inside the database. So from the authentication, please click on get started. Click on get started. I believe you are together. Now you see several authentication provider. Email password, Google authentication, phone number. Now let us go with email password. Are we following? Please enable the first one, but don't enable the second one. Enable the first one, authentication, get started, enable the first one, but don't enable the second one. I want us to continue. So save. So now that we have added our email password, pay attention to this now, please. Pay attention to this. This is what I want you to do. Scroll up to where you have your project overview. Scroll up to where you have your project overview. See settings here. Now, don't forget I told you that to connect your database, very important. Let's pay attention. This is the last lap. To connect your database with your application, you need two things: your API code and your URL. The URL is the location of the database, and the API code is your unique authentication code. So, to get those two things, we want to get the two things now. Project overview, you see something like a boat or a settings. Click on the settings. Click on that icon. Clicking on the icon, you will see that I have three options: project settings, users and permissions, usage and billing. Let us go with the project settings. Now you see several things that you need to connect this your storage to your application. Now I talk about API the other time, right? You can see here we have what? Web API key. It is that you need to link your application to your database. So you will see in here I have my web API key. Just highlight it. To highlight, just hold your left down and drag your cursor over it. Very simple. So you can release your left cursor, then do something called Control C for that Mac user, Command C. Control C means copy, or you can right click and then go to copy. Highlight it, right click and then go to copy, or you do Control C or you do Command C, whichever one work for you. Now let us now come to our application. Please pay attention to this step, very very important, very very important. So come to your application settings. See, you can see I have four details now. I have designer, I have data, I have assets, and I have settings. Come to settings, and inside settings you will see different options. Just come all the way down and you will see something that is the same with what we have here. Here we have web API key, and here we have API key. They are the same, right? So just put what you copy here. Control V, or you right click and do paste. So if you come to your drawing board, you have your list of products. So you design an interface page for list of products. So this will be heading of list of products, and we have, of course, I have another one called product details, and I have another one called orders, and I have another one called so we are going to be designing all this interface. I have another one called track order. So this list of products, you are going to be having your product list, product 1, product 2, product 3, and so on and so forth. Your product details, of course, just have the image, have an image here, and under the image have the product name, have the price, have the description, and have the button of buy. And for the orders, this is just list of orders. Have order 1, order 2, order 3, and for the track orders, you're going to be having something like this. Manufacturer receive order, shipped, delivered.